Well, hello guys. Welcome to the final after show of 2020. No, wait a second. It just felt
Just feels like it, right?
I know. It's been a long week.
Oh, good show. Good show. Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you, Tom. And Jan, nice to see you as well.
Yeah, same here, Tricia. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you. I had to giggle at the images you did. I didn't know you knew anything about me driving a tractor or figure skating. That was fantastic, Joseph.
Can you believe I pulled those from the archive?
Well, even the concept. Wow.
I actually forgot to put them in the beginning, but I actually thought it's kind of generally I start off the show with these fun facts, and today, we just kind of got straight into it because of the soliloquy, and then I thought to myself while I was doing the show, I kind of feel like it's fun to just put in at the end, but I like it almost as a segue into the after show, which is, hey, come on over to the after show and you can find out about Tricia's tractor story. And I think if you need,
I have a great tractor story. I really do.
I'm sure you do. Would you like to tell us the tractor story?
I can. Hi, Leslie. Nice to see you. And Janice, I think we can't see your video, but we can see you're here with us. So my tractor story is I grew up on a hobby farm, what we call a hobby farm, which is basically we had a little bit of absolutely everything. And my dad was a jockey and my mom was a veterinarian. And so I learned very early on lots of lessons. You fall off the horse, you get right back up again. I did that exercise when I wasn't even able to stand yet. So I was taught the right way in terms of being made of tough stuff. But with tractors, I started driving tractor when I was 5 years old. And my father, I worked very closely with my father, who did not care about gender, and I was the only child for 8 years. So, my mom did whatever work needed to be done. My dad did whatever work needed to be done. And so I learned literally from the moment I was breathing. So fast forward, I married my husband. He's 6'7", had our first child, and he's a big, scary looking guy. I'd never made 5'5". My dad was a jockey, 5'2". And very shortly after our eldest was born, we went up to visit my dad. And my husband was holding the baby, and I drove the tractor, which is our common practice. So no matter what's going on, if he's an electrician, contractor, and so that day he wanted to go and level out the reservation driveway, or like a conservation area. And so I was driving the huge tractor with the equipment on the back to be able to drag out the driveway. And my husband was holding the baby in the cab. And my father was at the edge where the road was, and it dropped off about 6 to 8 feet. And I was driving here. My dad was on the side here looking over the edge, and he kept going like this. Do you know what that means? It means go over half an inch, not further. So I'm going up the road and I'm going over half an inch, not further. And I'm watching his signals to know when I can go over half an inch again. Yes. So we've got it all handled. Not a word is being said. Finally, my husband says, "That's it. Stop this tractor right now." And so he took the baby, got out of the tractor, walked back with her, and my father and I continued on. Half an inch, half an inch, half an inch. That's trust.
What do they say? It's a game of life is a game of inches or half an inches.
Yeah. Yes.
Who knew that behind Joseph's the master of the embarrassing Photoshop, and who knew that behind that Photoshop was such a good story? That's good. I have a picture of myself at about the age of 4 or 5 on the seat of a tractor. I don't think I was driving it at the time, but it's really something to have that in your life. It's not an ordinary story.
Well, in the fact that I only discovered, I really wasn't until university age before I discovered that women didn't do everything. I just assumed they did. I had no other indication. And I always say I'm third generation crazy woman. My grandmother started her own business and had her own money and taught me, 20, I always had $20 in my purse when I was with my grandmother. And that was a lot of money back then. And, my parents were students. My mom had me and then went back to school to become a veterinarian. So, my mom then went on and did her thing. And so my daughters have, they're fourth generation little crazy women right now, but.
What a great way to grow up, except of course for the surprise that you'll one day have, as you enter the broader world, right? It's like, what's wrong with everybody? Right? You've got this great perspective to start with,
So what did everyone think about today's show, and specifically some of these, takes? And before you answer, Tricia, so we started. Obviously, I started this in March, and we started this Zoom after show. I even forget when the first one was, and it's been a weird anomaly. This Zoom after show. It's beautiful. It's special. Today we have our regulars. These are all regulars that are, I think everyone's been on the show almost every day this week. And in some cases, Tom was actually my guest on the show, and he's here every single day now. And part of me, wonders as well, which is, why are there not 50 people or 100 people or 20 people? But I know that when that happens, it will, we will have lost something that right now we all savor. And that's just a little bit of the background. Maybe we'll at that point figure out, I don't know, breakout rooms or something ridiculous. But the reason why I just set up that context is, one of the things I even said to you is, we're here every day and we're building these red threads, and we're building this body of thinking and body of work every day from a diverse guest or a different conversation. So that's my kind of setup to our regulars today, to say, what did you hear that was different? What did you hear that was unique? What did you hear that was that you want to build on today?
I'll defer because I've got a lot to say. So go first, Jan. And by the way, we would have 3 more people here today. Had they not had other commitments they had to do.
Yeah, Joey had to run. He was
it's a lively group we have. But you guys go ahead.
I defer to Leslie.
I was going to defer. I apologize. I only caught the last maybe 10 minutes. I was on another call, so I didn't hear that. But I picked up on some things, and so I'm probably not the best to start. But I think Tom, you wrote it in the comments. Wrote down, the commander's intent gives guidance for adoption and adjustment and innovative twist, and that just struck me. And I'm not sure. I don't remember who said it first, or if that was Tom's interpretation of what was said. I'm the salesperson in the group. I was in sales my entire career, teach sales. So I look at everything through the lens of how this would work in a, sort of the environment of sales. And the reason I was late, I was actually on a sales call for my business. And one of the things that came up was this ability to lead and encourage innovation, because the sales teams out there are just selling product, and they know what they have to sell, but what the client was saying is, like, we need them to be more responsive to what's going on with our clients' marketing objectives, understand their business. And my take was, they need to be thinking innovatively, not just, I have this item I have to sell, but how do you translate that? So for me, it struck me as, how do because I'm in the training business, how do we make that a training opportunity for organizations, so that people go beyond having to think just selling what they have, but be able to sell bigger ideas and how what they have would fit into those ideas.
Yeah, you have to train people in agility, really, a kind of a mental agility, the ability to, their jobs involve constant learning. In fact, to be constantly selling in innovative ways means to be constantly learning, listening and learning, and to have this agility, this inner flexibility that allows you to innovate in ways that aren't preset all the time.
Yeah, being preset seems to be what leads to things that don't reach that intent unless the intent is corrupt to begin with. And in a SEAL team course that one of the panelists here, Joey Dumont, who's not here today, and I took, we learned that SEAL team commanders, they have this intent, let's say it's a goal. It's never described as success. Success is never a goal. Success from a SEAL team perspective is something that happens every single day, and you sustain that over time. So success is never a goal, but the goal is an objective. And let's say in this case, we learned that the objective was to rid a certain area of terrorists. Well, in the SEAL team, the way their leadership and heroship, if you might call that, works, is that the leader of the SEAL team, his job is to follow as much as to lead. And every person is respected for their leadership, and thereby everyone becomes a follower. So when something is perceived as a different course that might be a course correction that might achieve that intent, that person's listened to. It's not about their hierarchy of title. And thereby the change of plan in order to get to that goal. In this case, it was found halfway through that there was a school on one side and a hospital on the other side of the target. Obviously now you're not going to bomb that facility if you have any morals and your intent is not to destroy people, but to remove a bad element for your overall objective. So the course changed, and over time, the whole idea of that changed for the whole military, which was to become understanding, even translation equipped to be part of the communities and talk to the Sunnis and Shiites so that there was an understanding between military and community. That was a big change for the military. So in leadership, in the business sector, I have found that the reluctance of the leader, the commander, to truly, beyond words, to truly know that a leader is a follower, is really the key.
See, that's so powerful, Jan, because this whole idea that each team member is both a leader and a follower is almost like a leadership analog to the physics paradox of light. Is it wave or particle? Well, it's got to be both. Well, how is that? So with effective teams and effective communities, this understanding that leader follower are aspects of a well-informed, highly motivated person who's in a state of ownership and full partnership with respect to the mission. That's really an interesting concept, right? And most people think, no, I'm one or the other. I'm not the leader here, so I'm the follower. And they maybe resent that. I'm not a follower, I'm the leader. Somebody was asking in an interview, are you a team player? And the answer was, yeah, team leader, right? The famous story. And so we have to understand the dimensionality. There are two facets, two dimensions of our participation in a full throated partnership. And Tricia, that's come up often in the after show. Aristotle's understanding of community in his book, The Politics, that at its best, it's always about people in partnership for a shared purpose.
Right. Yeah.
And, any real partnership, you're going to have those vacillating roles of leading and following.
Well, and It's a Beautiful Life, when James Stewart is standing at the bridge near the beginning to commit suicide.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, it's a pretty dark movie at that point.
Yeah, it is.
And the hero, who you would think is Clarence, the guardian angel, doesn't save him by grabbing him away. He jumps in and creates a hero in Jimmy Stewart's character. And that is a pivotal change in the storytelling, and probably why that story just sticks with leaders and heroes.
I very conscientiously chose leader and supporter, and this is years ago. I built over a $20 million business in what was traditionally a cost center at a $20 billion company. And I was trying to explain to my team how I was trying to move them forward faster. You know, I can't have growth like this when I'm building a business. That's just, I need fast growth. So I was trying to get them to understand how I wanted them to think about it and how to move younger or less experienced people on our team forward faster. And so I had this whole notion of a leader and a supporter. So support staff, you know, and I think you're exactly right, Tom. People kind of pigeonhole themselves and they go, well, I'm support. And I can't, I've several times this week, many times this week, I have talked about leading and supporting on our team, that everyone is that leader. And as you support, and I couldn't agree more, the more you have final sign off from a business perspective, the more you have the final sign off where you're the owner or senior executive, the CEO, the more responsibility you have to support. And that's what leapfrogs people forward. So if I have a more junior or less experienced person on my team presenting instead of me, then they're getting the hot seat, they're getting the experience. And we had a whole system in play where our interns would be moderating our team discussions, our team sessions, our team learning days. And then that way they understood what it felt like to be on that hot seat. And so their skill set in being able to support became that much stronger because they knew what it was like to have to stand up in front of people. And of course, in a way that didn't cause any of our customers pain, right? So learn and innovate as quickly as possible in the culture. Right. Coming back to Leslie's comment about sales, we have a great example. If it would be helpful, I'd be happy to share it, of moving fast and creating a culture to support falling on your face. Because it's one thing to say, like, have the mindset and the agility to change, but the culture to make it happen and how to support that is really, really challenging. And I do have an example if that would be useful.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I'd appreciate that. Absolutely.
So I have a number of the teams, events, membership, councils, partnerships and sponsorships, and our business development teams report through me. So when COVID hit, we went from a high touch, high cost in-person offering to none of it. So now our high touch people, we had to serve them differently. So we immediately moved everything virtual. So that's what happened there. We wrapped right around and we had our CEOs, founders, investors in the Hero Club. We were meeting every week. Our thought council leaders at our global level, our highest level, we were meeting with them every week because this was potentially catastrophic. And we wanted to make sure we were wrapped around, arming them and having conversations to be able to move forward as quickly as possible, drive and thrive. And so we did that. But on the other side of our business, now in bringing in new membership, new sponsorship, and so on, that part of our business we didn't have without being in person at events that we hosted. So what I did was, right away, I said to the business development team, we have to figure out a way to sell one to many and then serve it, obviously. And so what I did was I gave a completely unrealistic timeline. I said, okay, it's Monday, Wednesday night, 8:00. Invite whoever you're speaking to, and we're going to talk to them about executive leadership in C-suite network. What would we do for that? So we had 3 or 4 or 5 slides. I don't know. We ended up hosting 2 people. There were 4 people from my team and me. And we had this really uncomfortable, terrible session. I mean, it was a failure all the way around, to the point where not like those 2 guests that we had, neither of them joined still to this day. However, what we did was we immediately went to, okay, well, we have that information under our belts. We could have waited 2 weeks, 2 months, and maybe we would have lost the idea altogether. I don't know. But we did it 2 nights later where it sucked. Okay, it was terrible. Went through, okay, what would we do differently? And what we came up with was our C-Suite Celebrate event. and it's every Friday night at 5 o'clock Eastern. And we titled it "Permission to Push Pause." There was another night with some wine involved where that name came to us. Permission to push pause, because that's what we all wanted to do as business leaders. Just push the pause button. Everything's bad right now. All the bad news, all the big challenges, and everything in our personal lives too, right? So permission to push pause, celebrate in C-suite. And we're going to announce our new members. And let them introduce themselves. We're going to celebrate everything good of the week and everything good to look forward to in the coming week. And I sent out 65 invites for that first Friday night, which was 32 Fridays ago. You're more than welcome to join tonight if you'd like. And I think I had about 50 people join from that list of 65. And we thought, okay, we're on to something here. And so now we have well over 100 executives and influencers and business owners joining every Friday night, and we celebrate together. And it is the most successful event we have ever done, in person or virtual, to drive new membership into the network, and at the same time create tremendous value for those that are already part of our membership and leadership within C-suite. Dan.
I'm registering now. I didn't even know about this.
Oh,
Jan, you're muted.
Jan, you're muted. Jan's muted.
How do I register, Tricia?
yes, I can. I'll grab the link for you.
Is it on the site?
Yes. So if you are at c-suite, S-U-I-T-E network.com/events, and you'll see there Friday night celebrates. And when you register, it registers you for every Friday.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Yes.
Jan, don't leave me. Don't leave me, Jan. I don't know what I would do without you.
He's just going to fill out his dance card. He's just going to fill out his calendar.
The most interesting man in the world is leaving me.
Yeah,
the insecurity.
Hey, look.
We're expanding.
What happened to the flame?
The flame.
The flame. Remember the flame.
I'm so cold.
No
I'm
pie
so
for you,
cold.
Joseph. No pie for you today, Joseph.
If only there was a bonfire here.
Now, Joseph, you know what we need to do? You're going to come tonight and we're going to celebrate how incredible your show is and how incredible this.
I'm gonna try and come tonight. I'm sneaking out in about 20 minutes to get a haircut before everything closes down, by the way.
I will pop in. You started off asking us what was different about the show or special about the show. I got to give my answer, because I think today's show was really special because of the emphasis on community. In our time, let me say this right. The modern literature on improvement is in a section of the bookstore called self-help, self-improvement. We've lost our sense of community, and a lot about our political time demonstrates that loss. A lot of the guests who've come on the show since I first discovered the show as a guest back in July have said really interesting things about rekindling a sense of purpose, for example, in our work. That's a big topic these days. Stakeholder concerns is a big topic these days. I don't see as much emphasis on the vital importance of community. And like I mentioned earlier, from Aristotle's book, The Politics, on the sense of human beings. My wife and I were having this conversation today on a walking our dogs on human beings as pack animals like dogs. Human beings, Aristotle said, we are essentially social beings. And we operate too much in our business endeavors without a deep enough and full enough understanding of that as a leveraging device for excellence. And so I think, Tricia, so many of the things you brought up today and so many of the things Joseph brought up today really fed the flame of that understanding, the importance of belonging, the importance of community. I think I quoted on the after show yesterday, William James, after he published his 2 volumes, The Principles of Human Psychology. He says, I forgot to put, and the volumes take up this much room on my shelf. He said, I forgot to say that I've discovered the single greatest human need is the need to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
And that's so correlated with that sense of belonging, right? Because when you can talk about diversity and inclusivity all day, but if all that ends up as being is an aggregation of individuals who have no sense of belonging or sense of community with each other, you've accomplished something, but you've not accomplished what you set out to accomplish, right?
And if
I
I
think,
and
I think
and if
Tricia,
I if
especially Tricia's community, when I look at places like this,
Yeah.
the sense that I get from the website and other events like that is that they talk a good game, but the game isn't really pure.
Mhm.
And I'll see how this works. I'm encouraged because of this experience with Tricia.
Yeah.
But from the website down, it's just like more big names with big titles who are there to meet other people, and there's a small percentage of them who really want to do good, and those do-gooders don't want to join this group.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to be cynical, but
No,
that's
a guy in
experience.
California, Jan, a guy in California, maybe I've mentioned this before, but a guy in California who knows more people and more important people than anybody I've ever known. I said that to him one day. I said, how do you know everybody? And he said, don't even say that about me. He said, I hate networking. And I said, oh, what you hate is acquaintanceship for the sake of manipulation.
Right.
But what you love is the spiritual connection you make with other great people. And he said, oh, I never thought about it like that. I said, yeah, you're engaged in a spiritual enterprise of building great relationships that lead to great things happening. Why you say you hate networking is because so much of it is just mutual manipulation. And it's not a spiritually deep thing at all. But when it's done right, like Jan says, we can become very cynical about people getting together, all who have the wrong reasons, pretending to have the right reasons. When it works, it really works. It's beautiful.
Is that a Tom Morris original? Networking is the acquaintanceship for purposes of manipulation. That's a great line.
So
oh my God, that's a trademark.
If I'm quoting somebody else, I'll give you the name. Aristotle, Plato. I'll give you the second.
I think that sounded like it might have been Marcus Aurelius, but whatever. You can plagiarize him again. I don't care. No, but I just want to say one thing, and then I have to. Sadly, I have to jump. What kind of a host am I?
We can tell you need a haircut, so go.
But it strikes me that just the final point, diversity and inclusivity without belonging actually equals we check the box. Yeah. We hide X number of African American, we hide Y number of women, and you end up with a place that's cold, that's brittle, that's confrontational, where you have, the silos are reinforced, the fiefdoms are reinforced, and you don't get that, to your point. You couldn't be further away from this aspirational utopian promise of community. And that's why belonging is so important. And sometimes it comes down to even, it doesn't matter how you got in the door, you're in the door. And now that you're in the door, you're home.
Yeah.
We're all home and we're all part of the same family.
The other thing is, I love what you just said, Joseph, and the whole sense of the authenticity of where it's coming from. Jan, I hear you. And anybody who's lived in the executive space, I truly believe it is one of the last vestiges of a space you can take advantage of people because they can't say anything about it. So if you're an executive and you spend $10,000, $100,000 on a betterment program and it sucks, you better come back saying how great it is, right? Because otherwise you've made a ridiculous decision that's wasted resources and time and so on. So there's a really weird scenario there of being able to victimize an executive, which nobody wants to talk about, right? But even if you just say the types of events for executives where there's a big show, lots of smoke and mirrors, right? And you get that emotional thing, we can't do that with this square. And I love that because I think the authenticity of where people are really coming from, that shines through. And so I would credit certainly this for us expanding so much because we're all on a level playing field. We really
That's so
truly are.
that is fascinating. We might have touched on this over the 150 shows or so, but the idea that each of us, any leader of any standing, has only this real estate in this Zoom square, in this Google Meet square, Microsoft Teams square, is really helpful if everyone can use it, you know. And I think it's easier to use because you're just an equal measure in the conversation.
Absolutely. And then what are you really delivering? And that connection, you can feel it as if it is real now. It's fascinating. I would never have believed that. I'm a big hugger. but
there's a reason
we will hug
not
soon.
allowing you to be on speaker view or whatever it is. When the keynote is a speaker and he dominates the screen, I get why you need to do that at times, but that takes away the democratization of the squares.
Yeah.
It's really neat. Now you can move the squares around and pin them in place, which is kind of interesting because then your site. Yep. So this way your site level is still going to the right direction, right? Yep.
I put you in the center, Tricia, but you keep
I can't move. It says how do you move someone?
You just thumb it.
Yeah, you take your mouse and you click on the square and then you move it.
Mine says you cannot move a video while non-video participants are hidden.
Oh, pin. Is that called a pin? What's a pin? I know we know nothing.
I'm doing it, and I'm in gallery view. That might be the reason.
Yeah, are you in gallery view?
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you put your mouse over the square, does it go? Do you see a hand?
No.
When you're mousing over a square.
Maybe I need to just update my Zoom.
Oh, there have been updates for sure.
Yeah, there just was a major
friends,
update. Yeah.
I will see some of you maybe at 5. I'll definitely log on at some point if I'm back. But that's awesome. My first hit the pause button. But everyone, thank you for being you guys, and thank you, Tricia, for coming on the show. And I will see you guys next week.
Come back and visit us sometime on the after show.
Thank you.